Continuously on, right?
Yeah. No. Just let go. And it's running. Okay, just make sure I'm in the video. What I'm doing, okay? So to begin with, always make clean. The table is not clean, the glass will get scratched. If you have air, blow it off. If you don't, a cloth. Make sure there's no aluminum, other glass pieces, etc. Next, this is the T-bar cutter. The parts of the T-bar cutter, the bit, the oil reservoir, the scale, the guide. This guide always has to be on the edge of the glass. If it hops up on the glass, or if it doesn't get completely lodged on the glass, you'll get a crooked cut. Before you can cut, you want to check the blade. It should be perfectly round. Just spin it around until you've gone a full circle, and that will tell you if it's got a chip or a crack in it. If it does, it's got to be replaced. To replace it, you undo this screw, it pops out, you put the new bit in, screw it back in. You don't want it too tight because it has to float. Next thing you do is you check the oil reservoir. You need to have this at least half full of oil. Top screws off. Zoom in on the oil there for a second. Can you see the oil reservoir?
Yeah.
You'll see inside the oil reservoir there's a string, that's the wick. That wick has to be soaked in oil so that it'll drip out the bottom. Whenever the bit is depressed from pressure, it'll drop out oil. So while you're cutting, it should be leaking oil onto the glass. Make sure when you're handling the T-bar cutter, the bit never hits the ground. If you put it up against something and stack it, you want to stack it this way, well, it's out of your way so that if it gets bumped, it falls down. If you never make it so it falls this way, that's what wrecks the bit. Once you've got the cutter all taken care of, the table is taken care of, you're going to take your tag. You want to put it somewhere where you can easily see it, how big the glass is going to be, because you want to double check a lot. Now we found this piece in our stock supply. It's big enough to cut this from, but there's a few things you need to see. First off, this broken edge here, it's cracked and it's got a rather bad broken edge. That's a bad edge to cut. If you try and put the rollers on this, whatever edge you have there is what you're going to cut. So this crooked edge would be placed cut.
Okay, it's running again.
Alright, so picking up where we left off, if your adjuster is marked exactly and you've got it centered to the point, you can put it right exactly on the line and you'll get a perfect cut every time. The way to measure that is to make a mark, a cut on a piece of scrap glass, measure it. Find the measurement, and that's where it's at. If you need to adjust it till you get a 0 on it, or 100 centimeters, whatever you want to use, that's how you do it. So we've got this set for 546. First thing you do is you get the wheels so they'll roll freely on the glass. Come all the way to this edge. Always make sure that whatever's on the other end of the table, you can roll freely. And you can see these things stuck over here. We're going to move this out a little bit so that we don't run into these things that are on the table. So double check 546. You get the edge here. One small off the side. And you don't need much pressure. And it cuts. Just light, gentle pressure. If it's quiet, you'll hear the glass being scratched. Then, get the crack so that it's just on the table. Done. To check it, just run your hand above the glass like this. The light should reflect through the crack and you'll see that the crack was all the way or not. Now you're going to turn it over. And cut the other side. Make sure that when you're coming off the edge of the glass, that your hand is on this side to keep pushing the wheels firmly against the glass. Otherwise, you get cuts that go like this or like this. Now we're going to spin this around one more time. You want to make sure you have a knife with you. As you have this crack, you will see as you're bending this piece down, a chip will happen on either this side or this side. Since this is the good side, you want the chips on this side. If it isn't chipping on this side, turn your glass over and cut to the other side. Okay? Okay, picking back up where we were, we cut this one side. We're going to double check, as I said, measure it. We want 546. We have 546. Always try and check it near the end to make sure you didn't go crooked. Now, the second cut we want is 796. We're going to assume for a moment that we're cutting a piece of laminate that's the white Lami. The white laminate glass is a little bit harder to cut. Clear glass you don't need to. But if this was white Lami, you would need to use the methyl ethyl ketone, that's MEK, a lighter, gloves, a mask for your eyes so you don't get splashed, and a mask to cover your nose and mouth so you don't get the vapors in. The vapors for MEK are very flammable and very toxic. So, what you do is you take the MEK and you put it in a lid. Usually you can use the lid on the top of the jug. I've got water in here, that's why I'm not wearing any equipment. So what you would do is, after you pour the glass, you're going to take this on the scored edge and you're going to just grip a thin line across the glass. Once you've got it on the glass, you want to make sure you tighten it down good and tight. The vapors from that, if you light this up, would light the entire bottle up and you have a flash fire. Very dangerous. Take a lighter, you stand back at one edge, you light the glass, and this little strip would have lit up. If that wasn't water, it would have lit up. Okay, so that would be with MEK. Always make sure that you've already snapped it running. Okay, so again, we measure this out to 796. We make sure that we have a clear area above us. And we're going to make sure that these are seated right on the edge and rolling freely. Start off, your hand should be supporting this side of the T-bar, keeping it on the glass while you're on this edge. So we're going to just come across off that edge, and when we start on this side going back, we got to make sure we're still on the glass. We're going to start coming across, not very hard at all, and as we get halfway, we're going to move our hand over here so that we're supporting it as it comes off the other side. That way it doesn't do the wiggly-woggly at the other end. Now, we're going to spin this glass. Just like that, it snapped. Check it. Flip it over. Make sure you're still at 796. Seat the wheels. Small cut off that edge. Switch your hand. Snug off that edge. Get your knife. You want to have it out a couple of notches, and you want to make sure you replace this blade every once in a while. You'll notice that it gets black on the edge. That tells you that it's gotten hot, cutting the glass up, and you need to replace it, take the tip off. So, we turn this around again. One snap. We're looking for cracking. And one quick slip. This piece now should be 546 by 796. And we always double check. 796 by 546. It's that easy. The job is now to cut, find the tag that belongs to it, slap it on, and you're set. If you have any common problems with the glass, usually it's because the Lami inside the glass is too thick. That's when you use MEK. If you do not support your wheels while cutting, if you do it this way, you're holding this